6 to 8 is my goal. So I've given this speech before. I decided to pull it back out and do it again. It has a clickbait kind of title. You'll never guess what our website can do. Because our club website is what we use to create our agenda, our lovely agenda that you see there. So once you join the club, I, as the Vice President of Education, will send out an email at least once a week. So if you haven't noticed it, either I don't have your email correct or you haven't been checking it, if you're a member. But it will look, if you look at that next slide, a little bit like this. And you can do multiple things from that one email. So if you look, and bear with me, I'm looking upside down, you can see the whole agenda. So if you click on that blue link at the very top of the email, you'll see the whole agenda. It'll get you into our website. You can RSVP to the meeting. So if you look, there is a yes, no. If you click yes, it tells us that you're coming. If you click no, it lets us know that you can't. So you can RSVP right there by doing that. You can also sign up for a meeting role. So if you look at the agenda, there's little blue buttons. When you click the button on whatever role that you wish to take, it will take you to our website. You log in under member login. Little box pops up. You fill in your username, your password, and you see, I believe actually it should show you the current agenda. Sometimes it does it. You can click on meeting agenda, and I'm not sure how large it is on that copy if you can read it. I know I couldn't, probably. So that's what that number 2 is here. You can sign up for the meeting role again by hitting the little blue buttons. So I will move around a little bit so you guys can see, or hopefully. You can also, at the very top, there are more than 4. There are 7 little bitty buttons. And if you see, they do different things. That first, well, how about I get to that at the end, because I think I talk about it at the end. But that second to last button, you can edit the agenda. So if you could sign yourself up for a role, but if you know that your friend, somebody else in the club also wants to sign up for a role, and you want to sign them up, if you click that edit button, it will let you edit the whole agenda. And then what you see is a little window that pops up that shows you the agenda. You can scroll up and down, and you can drop down a little box and choose the person's name. So you don't have to sign yourself up for every role. You could sign up, your spouse, if your spouse also happens to be a member, or you're just really mean. But okay, and I think this is a picture of the drop-down menu, so you can see that on the very next slide.
Oh, yeah.
And I know this is all scintillating. Next, you can also fill in, if you're the speaker, right, you can fill out information about your speech. So this is a little bit of a different version of what it looks like now because we have pathways. But under speaker, it has a little spot where you can click what speech project you're doing. It used to be, it could show you the book. We're working for books. Now it shows you the paths. And then there's another little sub button where you can choose your project that you're working, add your speech title, and then you have a little, like a save button. It's not exactly called save. I think it says update speech details. So if you click that, it will save it. And it's important that you do it because, and I've got a close-up of some of those buttons, depending on your meeting role, either in the club if you're an officer or as Toastmaster of the evening. So if you are the Toastmaster of the evening for that meeting, as the Master of Ceremonies, you control a lot. So you will see that second row of buttons are the buttons that you will see that will be active for you. And you can edit the meeting because as Toastmaster, it's your responsibility to make sure all of those roles are filled. And so you might need to make some phone calls and get some volunteers, and you can edit the agenda to reflect. And there's a whole bunch of other text there. I think most of you learned to read in first grade. I'm not going to read it to you. but you can see that second button from the beginning. You can print the whole agenda for yourself. And I think what I skipped, I forgot to say before, if you move back to that box where I was talking about speech details, you can put a little intro. If you want the Toastmaster to introduce you, you should. He should have something to say besides, this is so-and-so. Some kind of introduction, especially if you're new to the group or new to speaking, you should put a little intro about yourself there and save it. The Toastmaster of the evening can then go in and print just that intro for each of the speakers so that you know what you're going to say. You don't have to wing it. So, excuse me, I have to go back to that. Where was I? Aha. Now, if you add all those speech details in the agenda for your speech, and I'm not sure if any of you guys realize, as VPE, I reconcile the agenda after every meeting, if I remember. And I'll add the details if people didn't, if at the last minute they signed up for a role or something happened, they couldn't come in, and I'll edit with titles. Because you can run a role report for yourself or the other members of the club. And if you look, that fourth button, when you click it, it will open up another little box. Right, and those of you who have the copy will see, but you can write a meeting report or a speech report for yourself, and it will open up it'll generate a little report, and it will show you, and if you look, this is one for me for a few years ago, of all the roles that I took in that time period that I put in, and it was more important with the old program where you do your CL, you had to fill out your manual. Now the leadership roles are embedded into the pathways. And so that report isn't necessarily as useful, but if you can't remember how many speeches did you do because you didn't keep track, if you run that report on yourself, you know exactly what speeches you did when, assuming you save the information about yourself. And so as the VPE, since I have to accept your path before you can finish it, if I miss a meeting and I don't know if you gave a speech, I can easily, if I run this report, check. Without having to figure out who else was there and might know, or talk to Robin. Did he take notes? What was the title of that speech? Did they actually complete it? But in Pathways, the VPE is supposed to double check to make sure all those projects were completed correctly. And so if I'm not there for some reason, this is the easy way for me to do it. If you save your information, you're helping me. And that way I can promptly take action on your request. So does anybody have any questions about our website? There's a lot of information to absorb. I will make that file available to our Vice President of Membership so he can provide it to the new members.
And since we've got several new members this month, I'm also going to do an orientation sometime. If you can attend, you can. But I'll go through the website and show you how to do things to make it more easy.
It's not that hard. If you just use it, you figure out how it works.
And for new members, you're going to get emails from Toastmasters.
Sorry.
So there's actually two websites, the Toastmasters International and the local website.
Yes, I'm sorry, I should have been clear. All right. Now I will step back into my Toastmaster role and ask you if you could take about a minute to write some comments for me as the first speaker. That's what this little sheet is for. So up at the top, so what did you like? What did you not like? What were your suggestions where I could make improvements to that speech? So once you've done that, you can tear it off. It's perforated, and pass those comments to me. And you'll do that for the other speakers as well once they get up here and speak.